giving you an A+ in confidence.
Just doing what I gotta do.
Extra credit.
Well, to answer that question, we can't go behind the wall permanently because then no one would ever find the show. You know, we don't do any marketing or advertising. Charlene, unless you want to be the marketing department. But if you don't want to be the marketing department, then we have to have some stuff for the people. And the office hours is never going to be behind the wall because it's just basic, like, common sense, and you need to share common sense. So there. But we are going to go behind the wall quicker on the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday shows. We're going to try to go no more than about 5 to 7 minutes and then behind the wall. So there you go. You get your cake and eat it too, kind of. All right, let's see. Let's see if there's any basic questions. We're not really going to do too much about markets today. You guys know what's going on. I just now considered it when I read your question, Donna. I considered it just now. That would be more of a Brandon thing. He would be kind of, working those kind of cool angles and all the tech stuff. We're not going behind the wall. It's Tuesday, buddy. Okay. Let's see. Is there any housekeeping since yesterday? Let's see. Only if you owned meme coin AI assets that rhyme with mojito. If you do own assets that rhyme with mojito, you should have less today than you had yesterday. Mojito. Yeah. Dumpster fire keeps pumping. I will keep getting rid of it. Okay. Let me know if you guys have any basic questions, but you need to say question. Otherwise, we can take some kind of wide angle looks. I did pull up my GPT-4 to see when was the last thing. It gives you you have an entire list. For those of you that are not using either Claude 3 or GPT-4, you should, because it will make your life so much easier on so many levels. But what I thought we would talk about today, because over the weekend, Brandon and I were chatting a lot, and we kept coming back to a couple of key themes. Does the music still sound loud? It sounds quiet to me, but maybe it's loud. Let's go a little bit quieter. Okay. We kept coming back up with a couple of themes, and then I was talking to some other buddies, and I think that all of investing comes down to an understanding of arbitrage, right? Like whether it's an intellectual arbitrage or an actual time arbitrage or a dislocation in pricing, which is an arbitrage. So this key concept of arbitrage, it's pretty important in general decision making as an assistant to your game theoretical thinking, being pragmatic and being critical, being a critical thinker. And can I believe the meme prices? Of course. It's no different. It's just an easier way to gamble. And listen, if it turns out that the use case for crypto was just to get people to take more of their currency units and give it to veterans, then the joke's on them. Like, let people do what they're going to do. I would say welcome it. When people are like, I'm thinking of buying Shiba Inu. Yes, do it. With every last dollar you have. Get as many meme coins as you want. Go to Vegas, spend all your money, go sell blood plasma and go trade that. Matter of fact, we could probably tokenize that. That way we could give you a token. You could go spend on online gambling. If people are going to gamble when they get hopeless, think about it when recessions hit and economies, even though now it's just the whole world is a permanent recession. There's no such thing as anything other than a recession now. We just live in recession. But when economies turn down, alcohol, pornography, the third one, gambling. People want to gamble. They want to make sexy time, and they want to drink away their pain. And all of those things cost money and make their situation worse. Yeah, cigarettes. Those quick little outlets that are mostly, self-defeating and not good for us. I mean, I'm not hating on porn, but you know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, so if people want to come out of the woodwork and spend their rent check, or they want to spend their excess money gambling on meme coins, who cares? Let them. Welcome it. It's still more people having to learn how to use crypto. Think of it like this. Those people are gambling. They're playing a crypto casino, more or less, right? It's just it's kind of a musical chairs pyramid, casino-y, bullshitty thing. But it's an onboarding experience to crypto wallets, to the basics of doing transactions and things like that. So it's kind of an educational experience, if you will. So I don't think if people are willing to just throw their money away, and see, the thing is too, people aren't spending a ton of money on meme coins. On the aggregate they are, but at the individual level, it's a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. People just literally the same thing. They would be spending one of the lotteries is up to over $2 billion now. Look at all that money that's just wasted. That's $2 billion that a bunch of suckers that can't afford to buy lottery tickets, they're like, I'm due. Nobody's due, man. Nobody's ever due. So if people want to gamble 15, 20, $100 here or there, let them. And that's not going to change. And we will have a UBI 11. I think we will have a UBI. We will have a social safety net that goes so far and wide that it absorbs everyone. And the problem with that is wherever you are if you look at the economy as like in America, the demographic, don't even think demographics, the economic kind of tiers, all the different tiers. Wherever you are when that happens, you're stuck. Because once they start, and then the gambling is going to really increase, because you're not going to be able to outsmart AI or AGI, not really. So you're not going to come up with an idea that they haven't already come up with, implemented, and arbitraged out. All the opportunity will be squeezed out of it and probably added to that big pool of currency units that gets sprayed out to everyone in a period of nirvana and abundance, whatever that looks like. But it's likely that it will be very hard to get out of whatever tier, whatever slice of the economy that you're in. I don't know how you're going to get out other than gambling. So this is when all of the bad behavior you saw in 2021, it's going to be permanent 2021. And I believe that kind of where you are investment wise is where you'll be. So now I think it's a relatively dire situation that requires people to spend the next 18 to 36 months being very smart about what they do with their money. People that are YOLOing into meme coins and stuff like that, most of these people don't really have real jobs anyway. They don't have much to lose. When you don't have much to lose, what do you care? But people that do have much to lose, upper middle class, lower upper class, whatever that is, they stand to lose a lot if they don't play their cards right. And if you have currency units right now and they're not working for you, they are dead. They are trash, because cash that's non-performing, any non-performing asset's trash. You're going to lose to debasement effects. And if they start printing the kind of currency units they would need to give everyone a universal basic income stipend right now, because remember, AGI and ASI has not taken over. It's not calling the plays. So until we get to that point, artificial superintelligence or digital superintelligence is not going to be creating that mass abundance. On the way there, if that's 5 years or 6 years or 2 years or whatever, on the way there, it's going to be very messy with people getting obsoleted out of the workforce and stuff like that. So it's it seems pretty clear that the entire planet is in the throes of a globally synchronized, timed slowdown. Banks are not lending. When banks are not lending, and remember, banks are the real central banks. When banks quit lending, that's the end of it. It doesn't matter what the Fed does, doesn't matter what the Treasury does. When banks step back and they're not providing free-flowing cash and credit availability, that's the end of it. That tells you that the economy is choked. And what happens then? Then you have a choke on dollars, and the dollar starts to get stronger. And these things all dovetail, and then it's harder to repay debt, and things priced in dollars, and everybody has the dollar hegemony arguments and all this kind of stuff. But when the whole world is going backwards, when jobs are not easy to find, or at least not real jobs. Oh yeah, you can go get a job at a bar, but everybody can't work at a bar, especially if you if you have a tech job or some, corporate job where you're making $220K a year. It's not going to, tending bar at night at the Grey Goose or whatever is not going to cut it. It's bad. Oh, yeah. Internet scams are going to be everywhere, Howard. You can just assume that. Okay. Found Treasures asks, hey, Nick, when you DCA, I don't think you meant to put a question mark there, but yes. When you are dollar cost averaging, do you buy a market? This is easy. I'll let the crowd answer this. Do you buy at a market order or a limit order under any circumstances? What say you, crowd? You guys should know this. There's one kind of order we never, ever, ever use. Today, it's cinnamon spice with so much cream that I can taste neither the cinnamon nor the spice. I said that correctly because when you use neither, you're supposed to use nor as the other. Anyway, yeah. The answer, Found Treasures, is you never, ever use a market order, ever. There is no scenario where you use a market order. Now, here's the rub. Did you know that when you use a DEX, do you know what kind of order you're using? Like if you do a swap on MetaMask, or you go from one asset to another on Coinbase Wallet, when you do a convert function on Coinbase, when you do a swap function, those are all market orders. So you get punished on a fee, you get punished on the market order, you get punished in the order book, You have typically, if it's a big enough asset, you got bots working against you. You get punished with slippage. There's some price impact to how many tokens you sell. Like, that's the problem. Market orders, especially in crypto, in illiquid markets. Remember, what is crypto? Illiquid assets on illiquid exchanges being traded by sketchy or dubious individuals. Yeah, never use market orders. Only use limit orders ever. All right. Steve asks, do you think that AI will normalize volatility in all markets? Yes. I think it will normalize volatility unless it's desired to keep people. For instance, there could be all sorts of other aspects to markets that we are not thinking about. So, for instance, there may be a certain amount of health societally in having a bunch of eyeballs fixated on markets. And even though the net might be a slow melt up, it might be better to go up, down, up, down, up, down to make humans think that they're participating. Kind of like children, like, oh yeah, you got me. Oh, good job. You tackled your dad, whatever. So like, you got to remember in that situation, we're the children. So there might be some value to having the perception of volatility, which is the perception that we have that we're participants, even though we're kind of not participants and along for the ride. But then again, there's going to be more. I would think there'd be as many people working against that to arbitrage all those things in real time. So I think it probably resolves down, no matter what, to some balance between ultimate arbitrage. We're going to talk about arbitrage today also. The ultimate best amount of arbitrage and some societal perception that there's opportunity left or that they're participating, right? They being the children being us. Let's see. Jay said UBI will keep people poor and be an entitlement like the stimulus, but all is needed to help those not educated. Well, I don't believe in leaving people behind. I don't believe in letting people be poor, letting people be sick, any of that kind of stuff. You can have both. Think, gosh, not to create a political situation, but if you look at all the money and weaponry sent to the Ukraine, which again, terrible situation, but you know that money that the U.S. sent would have cured homelessness in America 4 times over. All homeless, listen, everybody without a home would be living under a roof of some kind. I don't know if it'd be a good one, but they'd be under a roof and they would have food in their stomach. Everyone in the whole fucking country, everyone. So again, I'm all for supporting people and supporting causes, but I mean, come on, man. Common sense. Like, you can solve homelessness or send fucking missiles overseas. I don't know. Let's get everyone together and really talk about this and wait and do some flag waving and shit. Like, I don't know, man. So, yes, I think people that don't have that life is not fortunate for everyone. Education is not handed out evenly. Opportunities are not handed out evenly. IQ is not distributed evenly because there's a lot of biological elements to that people have no control over. You have very little control over your DNA, right? Like when you're born. So some people need help, and I think we should give those people help. I think when you give everyone help, because it's a cannon that you fire, like a money cannon. And so a small percentage of those people are legitimately needing it and they will benefit. And some people don't need it and they'll benefit extra. And a lot of people will game the system, like all of the people that stole from the payroll protection and all that kind of stuff they did during COVID. There was a lot. There's like 40,000 cases of theft that they don't even know how they're going to prosecute. Although let me let you in on a little secret. AI is going to map out and they're going to start mailing indictments to everyone. You're going to see people. You're like, damn, my dentist, he just got arrested. Yeah, because the motherfucker stole money during COVID and he thought he'd get away with it because, it was only 190,000. Guess what? AI is going to solve all this. Anybody that thinks they got a get out of jail free card, you're fucked. You're straight fucked. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. I know a guy who pulled a crypto scam, and he's like, well, no one's indicted me yet. Like, it's coming, Steve. Oh, wait, did I say his name? Darn. Steve, if you're fucking bullshit music, ICO, scammy ass motherfucker. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, Steve. All right, so yeah, I mean, there's no and again, AGI, which is again artificial general intelligence. We're not there yet, or an ASI, an artificial superintelligence or digital superintelligence, however you want to frame it, would probably have the cognitive capacity to distribute funds evenly and appropriately. People on the other side of it will game it, gamble it, screw it up, spend it, squander it, and ultimately come back and say, I spent the money that you gave me on crap and gambling. I need more money. That's where it gets tricky. Like, where do you draw the line? And then, oh, well, I deserve, I'm entitled. And then we go around and around. So, like, humans are pretty, we are kind of douchey, really. Let's see, John says, I talked to a lot of people at a big family event. They know nothing. Makes me look like a conspiracy wacko. Oh, yeah, you can't talk to people. I don't talk to anybody. Like, when people are like, oh, you're into crypto? I'm like, kind of. I said more into AI. They're like, oh, man, what should I invest in? I was like, I don't know. What do you want to invest in? Oh, but like, which ones? Like, I don't know. Which ones should you invest in? And they're like, oh, you suck. I'm like, I know. Yeah, don't discuss any of this stuff with family. You can't win. Limit orders. Yes, you guys nailed it. All right, we'll do a couple more questions, and then we'll talk about arbitrage a little bit, mostly the intellectual side of it. You say never use market, which is why I ask. Yeah. I mean, if I say never use market orders, then in my opinion, that means totally and completely never, ever. Unless you just want to throw money away or be like that jackass that sold $50 million worth of Bitcoin on some, amateur ass low rent exchange and ended up getting like $35 million for his $50 million worth of Bitcoin because he destroyed the whole order book because there wasn't sufficient liquidity because the asshole doesn't know how to read a fucking order book. So he nuked the entire order book all the way down to 8,000 a Bitcoin from 70. Talk about a dummy. I almost hope there was a great scam behind it. Maybe it was the North Koreans dumping Bitcoin on an innocuous exchange after they ran it through some mixers. I don't know. Other than something like that, the silly behavior of a criminal, nobody with a third grade education could be that goddamn stupid. And yet it happened. That was a week ago, right? A week and a few days. Okay. Let's see. I found with Coinbase, the advanced screen makes it easy to put in. Yes, you've got to do advanced trading with Coinbase. And also, if you're doing any more than $100, $200 worth of trades a month, you should do Coinbase One. Coinbase One. I know it's $30 a month, but look, that's like a few orders. And then they give you a rebate on fees. And there's some other stuff. You have a hotline. So if your wallets ever get jacked, you have someone you can call, although they don't do anything, but at least you have a human. And you can call right through the app or online. It's easy. Kraken is awesome, but Kraken doesn't have a lot of liquidity. And they keep getting beat up by regulators, which I'm sure they got the nudge from Coinbase. Brian Armstrong's a douchebag. And I'm sure he was part of the push to go after Kraken. In the same way that Mr. Wonderful, the biggest piece of shit on the planet, who was embarrassed at his close personal ties with Sam Bankman Fried Chicken. So he tried everything in his power to get to bury Binance, and it ended up costing CZ a lot. Maybe will cost him his freedom. I think if I'm not mistaken, doesn't Sam Bankman-Fried get sentenced today? Don't they have in his sentencing? I thought that was today. Maybe that's Thursday. Anyway, Alpha Gamer, got my own individual HYPC node license. Was wondering where can I find more info on how to set it up? There's nothing you have to do right now. There's nothing to do right now. What I would do is absolutely nothing. I would just hold it and keep learning. They're rolling out the compute phase, but they're trying to build tools to help people on board and have it not cost so much, marry the license together and do all that kind of stuff. So I would go back to the Telegram, I guess, although it's full of a bunch of idiots, but there are some decent people in there in the Telegram over at the Hypercycle Telegram. So yeah, I would go into that group, and that's probably where you're going to get your best information. But they're retooling a lot of stuff so that it's not as expensive and it's not as difficult for people to maneuver. We're also building a bunch of tools over here at Node Market where people will be able to manage. They're going to be able to manage their nodes. Now it's not yet. So you'll be able to buy, sell, trade node licenses in real time. So that's kind of cool. Oh, some interesting Intwin news. They're going to make an announcement, I think, by the end of this week. At the dates of their token sale. So, dun, 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 dun. And remember, the Intwin token, which is already live, 30 days after the token generation event, you will be able to swap one for one your tokens. So the Intwin tokens are swappable for the Twin tokens. Yes, and for those of you that listen, there may be some arbitrage opportunities. Wah, wah, wah. All right. There you go. Okay. Let me see. Question. What would have to happen for the ETFs to sell their Bitcoin? Well, the ETFs would sell their Bitcoin if people sell the shares. That's how it works. So people buy the shares, they have to buy Bitcoin. People sell the shares, they have to sell their Bitcoin. People are selling Grayscale shares of their ETFs, so Grayscale's having to dump Bitcoin. They're probably not happy about it. I can't imagine how they would be. I think they're now down to half or less what they had 3 months ago. They are a pitiful example of a company that should understand the crypto space that got caught on their ass, really not, just completely not understanding the ecosystem at all. Anyway, yeah, the Grayscale is pretty much a joke now. It used to mean something like, oh, Grayscale said this, Grayscale said that. Now it's kind of an embarrassment. You're like, oh, Grayscale said that? They said hamburgers are good. I'm going to have to take the other side of that trade. I think hamburgers are bad. Everything about me says hamburgers are good. But if Grayscale says they're good, I've got to go. Grayscale has become the Kramer of ETFs. If he says buy, sell. If he says it's topped and it's about to go down, that's when you need to start buying. Yeah. Anyway. Well, listen, there's nothing wrong with the basic concept of socializing issues, right? Well, I guess the main problem with like communism and like strict socialism is at a point you run out of other people's stuff to give away. They're not giving away their own stuff, right? Good old Vladimir Putin's not giving away his $13 billion worth of gear. He's giving away everyone else's stuff. At a certain point, you run out of everyone else's shit to give away. That's why it never really works. You have to have periods of aggressive capitalism to stoke, to build the war chest that can then be given away in a non-linear, imbalanced way. And it's the people that are doing the giving away. They seem to be all right. They seem to always land on their feet. Yeah, and they do want to keep people poor. And I say they, I mean, unfortunately, kind of everyone wants to keep poor people poor, even poor people. This sounds bad, but it's kind of true. Poor people tend to, because again, this is a mindset, not a financial, everybody's been poor at some point in their life, cash wise. Poor is a mindset. Rich is a mindset. Wealth is a mindset. I mean, like we were joking yesterday in the chat, rich people think there's something compared to middle class and poor people. All they are is day laborers for the wealthy. You're like, oh, I'm rich. I'm free. You're not free. You make some wealthy person wealthier. Rube. You don't hit escape velocity until you hit wealth. And that too is a mindset. But also I think probably 50 or 100 million bucks, that's wealth. I used to think 20 million was wealth. Now that's like everybody's got 20 million. Maybe 50. I don't know. It's tricky. What do you guys think wealth is? That's a fun question. I think we've asked this before. We've asked like what rich is. What do you think wealth is? What's the number that is wealth? What number would you have? And of course that would always change, because if they went into a massive debasement or some kind of hyperinflation, there goes your wealth. But like, what number right now, this second, 2024, 100, okay, 100, 50, 100, 500. Dear God, man. I mean, that is wealth. But you think that's the bottom end of it? 250? Shit. $35 seems wealthy, doesn't it? Yes, it depends. It kind of, yeah, Sergey, you're right. It kind of depends on where you live, but I think you still, well, I think that's what rich is. 10K a month extra, that's what being rich, you are rich. You have pretty much, if you have an extra $10,000 a month per individual in your household, after all bills paid, you can experience the same happiness as wealthy people. Maybe you don't at night sleep with the same peace, but you know what? Wealthy people, they have the same stresses, but in different formats. Like, your problems are just different, but they still exist, right? We humans need a certain amount of stress to survive. We can't, a stress-free environment would become stressful. But anyway, yes, Sergey is right. It depends on what country you live in, but also Junder is correct. I think, let's see, enough to throw off 25 a day in interest. Holy smokes, 25 a day. That's rich. That's wealth. That's all of it, I would say. 100 million. Sam says 50. Three is not wealth. Steve, you live in Mexico, 3 million is not wealth, right? I think in some places 3 million would be rich, but not wealth. 100 million, 500, $1. So I guess to reduce all this, I can't even get an average because we're kind of all over the place. Let's see. Rich asks, I have some hypercycle tokens. Can I stake them? Do you still have nodes I can okay. Yes and yes. If you want to stake your assets, it's not really staking because you're not providing network support. You're not part of validation. But you go to singularitydao.ai, and at Singularity DAO, matter of fact, I'll show you. That's the launch pad, but we'll go to their regular one. Yeah, okay, boom. You go to their vaults, which you should be able to see. Go to the unbonded vaults. Okay, I click on the little boxes so you can see them all. If you had hypercycle tokens, you would simply come here. You would connect your wallet either through here or through here. Once your wallet shows up, and that's going to be a MetaMask or other similar Web3 wallet, you're going to connect that. Once you connect that, you will have a bunch of buttons appear, and this button that says connect will then say stake, and then you'll have the ability to withdraw, to harvest, to withdraw and harvest, and there's an insurance button which I've never messed with. Anyway, what you would do is you would stake. You would sign two transactions, one that approves it, one that actually does the stake. So there's 2 Ethereum transactions. Make sure it's a bunch of tokens you're doing, otherwise it's not worth it. You're getting 10% a year, but that's compounded, every few seconds, which that's kind of nice. Except it's not really compounded until you harvest, which is a transaction, and then stake, which is a transaction. So make sure you're not doing it on a regular basis and eating up Ethereum fees. If you had $1,000 worth of tokens and it costs you, $10 to stake them at 10%, you're getting 100 tokens a year on your 1,000 tokens at 10%, meaning that you took 10 tokens just to stake. So the harvest is another 10. So there's 20% of your 10%. Meaning now you're getting 8 and change percent. That makes sense? If you're staking and restaking a small amount of tokens, or harvesting and restaking a small amount of tokens on the Ethereum blockchain, you're getting your ass kicked. You're giving away all your money. Stop. Make sure that the transaction fees are minimal so that it's not eating into your reward. Okay? Because otherwise you're wasting. But yes, that was a long way of saying yes, you can do that. If you want to purchase node licenses, it's easy. You go to Node Market, buy node license, and you just scroll down and you just choose the one you want and you add it to your cart and then you check out. Same way. Web3 wallet or otherwise. So there you go. Yay! And Bob is your uncle. I don't even know what that means, but my friend says it. Now I say it. I'm not even sure. Bob is not my uncle. I don't have an uncle named Bob or even Robert or Bill. There's no way to achieve that, but there we go. All right. Unlimited money forever. Well, the only person with unlimited money forever is probably a warlord. All right. 50K a month above expenses is pretty flipping good. That'd be pretty flipping good. 5,000 ounces of gold. Yeah, but then gold continues to not perform. So you would eventually get beat up on debasement effects. I think. Seems 465 million is nothing these days, according to AG in New York. I guess. God, you got to be. Is billionaire the new millionaire? How depressing. It's like no matter how good you do in life, it's like you're just treading water. You can't swim your way out of the water, I think is the thing. Well, I don't think rich is a mindset to be able to buy whatever you want, but I think rich is the mindset where you decide money is no longer used for paying bills. Money is used to create more money. Money is used as an arbitrage tool to find dislocations in pricing that other people have missed and take advantage of that to have a profitable outcome on your side. It's a reward function. Wealth is where you can change your local or not so local community. You have enough currency units to actually affect change, like change. And I think that's pretty important too if you have any philanthropic desires. Like I would be a hell of a philanthropist if I had $1 billion. I don't have $1 billion. And the path to $1 billion is a perilous one. So I don't know how philanthropic and altruistic I will be in my life. Okay, let's do this. Oh, Neil, you're with Kenneth? I didn't know you guys were together. Congrats. Kidding. 68. Damn, Neil, 68's not that old, though. 68's not old anymore. 68 might have been old 10 years ago, but you're going to have nanites crawling through your body. I mean, there's a good chance that if you can just stay alive for the next 10 years, you'll be able to just turn the clock back to pretty much whatever age you think was the best version of you. Just dial it back completely. I think for me, my looking back at my health life is really just looking back at my injuries. If I could get between my first and my second meniscus surgery, that's when I feel like I was really at my best. Because after my first meniscus surgery, I realized the value of like a good knee that I get these pinches, right? Like the legs work correctly, but the meniscus would fold over and pinch. But then when they cleaned that out with those little grabbers things, I was wrestling like 2 days later and I was like, this is the greatest feeling ever. So I would want to be between those two surgeries. It's a weird way to look at health, but yeah. Will there be a gaming narrative to this bull run? That's a good question, Aaron. Or do you think it will remain meme and AI? I think meme coins are the NFTs, which NFTs were meme coins last time, same. And there were meme stonks and all that kind of crap. So I think the AI narrative is here to stay. I think at some point this bull run is going to become about data protection, data aggregation. It's going to be, again, about layer ones because the Ethereum thing is going to keep coming up, I think. The meme coin stuff, yeah, that's going to be there because there's always got to be a place where idiots go. Dummies going to dummy, and dummies still have money. Dummies have currency units. So there you go. Okay. Let's see. We can invest 1 million in Hypercycle and believe that would be well, but you don't know because you also don't know, like you would hope. But it doesn't work that way. No one knows for sure what tomorrow is going to bring. For sure. You can make some estimations and some guesses, but still nobody knows for sure ever anything. Right? Period. And 3,300 a day would be great, getting that 6%. The problem is if they debase, meaning print more currency units and shower them along society at 9%, then your spending power goes down by half. So, I don't know, man. There's no guarantees. There's no absolutes. VR is fun. See, that's another thing. VR. What is my goal? I don't know. It's probably 1 billion. If we had goals. Now, you didn't qualify if that was an attainable or realistic goal. You just said, what are our goals? I think my goal would be 1 billion. I'm not sure how attainable that is. I think there's a fair amount of luck or like massive I don't want to get there because of hyperinflation. I don't want to be a Zimbabwean billionaire, like on the side of the road, like, trading sexual favors for cheeseburgers. But I think billion would be cool. Just to say that you crossed that mark. But that's a lot. And a lot of things would have to fall into place. So it's just, I have the mindset for it though. Like my mind is where it needs to be to absorb it. I know a handful of billionaires. I don't think that all of them are, well, let me say this in a nice way. Of the billionaires that I know technically know like 4, but like maybe 3 that I like communicate with. Of those 3, I don't know if their currency units equal their IQ points. One of them is smarter than his bankroll. Two of them are not. This is a good way to do it because then they can never figure out which is the one. Not that they listen to this kind of stuff because they don't listen to such. But anyway, maybe if they did, they would have made some whatever. Anyway, billion is a lot. Let's see. And philanthropy. Okay. So let's do this. Let's talk a little bit about arbitrage. Let me see. Do we have a good picture? We don't really have a good. There's not really a good arbitrage picture. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me see if I can find something that might. You know what? I don't even think I have a cool arbitrage picture. I don't think such. I do, just not on this computer. Well, anyway. Let me switch this up. Okay, if we're going to talk about arbitrage, what would be a cool thing to look at? Here, let's look at the. I'm just going to put the markets up in the background. They don't matter so much, but we'll just put them in the background. We're not even going to comment on them, except I am going to refresh it. Oh, okay, is that current? See how hard it is to not. It's so hard to not comment when I want to, but I won't. I will not. Okay, here we go. Bam. Matter of fact, I'll just put Bitcoin up there. Bitcoin, the old guard. Okay, so when we're talking about arbitrage, let me hide current comment and let me do a banner for those that might tune in at some weird point and go, hey man, what the smoke? We're talking arbitrage. And this is what I think, if I was going to tell someone like why game theory, why this, what arbitrage. Because if you get a good understanding of what arbitrage is and how to look for opportunities, you know, life gets a lot easier for you. You start seeing things you didn't used to see. So if you think about like mastering the art of arbitrage, you need to delve into like, what is a worldview if you put on like arbitrage goggles, right? This is a skill that's not vital just for financial markets, but this is an everyday life tool, arbitrage. Matter of fact, everybody in the chat write, I will endeavor to understand arbitrage. How many people are there? 225 people? We can at least get 6 of you. 6 of you. I can endeavor. I will endeavor to understand arbitrage. Yes. Okay. We're getting the right mindset. This is winning. This is small victories, right? Arbitrage in the very simplest form is the practice of taking advantage of a price difference between 2 or more items. Now, it can be 2 or more markets. It can be 2 or more cars. It can be 2 or more widgets. It can be 2 or more services. It's simply a dislocation in price, taking advantage of a price variance. That's it. Think of it as this idea of buy low and sell high. You could also reverse it. On the short side, you could sell high and buy low. It's the same thing. If you take advantage of a price dislocation, you're taking advantage of an arbitrage opportunity. So let's unpack what arbitrage entails. In the financial world, it involves buying and selling an asset usually simultaneously in different markets or on different markets, meaning it could be the same asset that appears in 2 different disparate markets or like 2 different sectors, or it could be on 2 different marketplaces, an Amazon to an eBay to a Temu, something like that. Or it could be the same asset on different marketplaces, but it's the same asset like over here on this gold exchange and over here at this gold broker right? They're both dealing in gold, but you found an arbitrage opportunity. Although if you're in the gold market, you're not going to find shit. But so in different markets, when you find a price difference, you can profit from the price difference. For example, if gold was cheaper in market A than in market B, you could buy from A because it's cheaper and sell in the B market because it's more expensive. So you pocket the difference. But arbitrage is not just about trading. It's a mindset that can be applied in a bunch of different scenarios, like finding deals in retail, negotiating salaries, time arbitrage. We did a whole thing on time arbitrage, on like how much time is wasted when you're waiting for, when you get on the highway, those lights, those are sucker lights, right? They don't improve traffic flow at all. They're bullshit lights. There's been a bunch of studies that have shown that the best way to keep traffic moving is, as long as you filter it down to one line, it doesn't matter what the backup is before you get on the highway, as long as it's one like photon gun shooting one car out at a time. As long as it's a line of cars like a zipper, they will enter the way particles enter the water supply. That's the most efficient way. The lights, you wait, red, green, it's all bullshit. Go. Save your 6 or 8 seconds. That's just to keep sheep back. If you get on and off the highway 10 times a day, that's a minute to 2 minutes you just got. If you do that every day of the year, that's 365 to 730 minutes. Minutes. That's a lot. 60 of them is an hour, bro. Think about all the hours you just got back. Anyway, so to excel in arbitrage, there's 4, but kind of 5 parameters, right? Think of it as like dials you twist. Same thing with like a large language model. There's parameters, the dials, and then there's tokens, the actual words and elements of data. So the dials are research and analysis, decision-making, risk management, adaptability and learning, and then there's kind of an ethical dial too, ethical considerations. We'll go ahead and throw that in there because of our great love for philanthropy. So research and analysis. So you want to be adept at researching markets, understanding trends, analyzing data so that you at least know what the data is trying to tell you, even if you don't respect the data, or if it's presented in a weird way. A lot of times data is presented in a way to tell a story, but as long as you understand, you can analyze the intent of the data, you can remove yourself from the specific motives behind delivering it in a certain format, right? You need to be able to look at data in and around the markets that you're interested in and at least understand what it means. Okay. You have to keep up with news. You've got to read articles or at least listen to them or aggregate them and have someone or a robot tell you something like that. You want to understand the basic market dynamics, who the participants are and what their mindset is likely to be. Like, know which dummies you're fighting against, right? Because you're a lot of times there's an intellectual arbitrage on top of the market arbitrage. Like on top of the cash, you have an intellectual, like with most of these people dummying into meme coins, you guys all have a huge intellectual advantage. So, respect the intellect that you have. You want to be able to interpret information that might look complex to other people. It can't be complex to you. It's got to be comfortable and easy. So you have to be familiar with the information. You have to be familiar with context. You have to be familiar with the news surrounding your market, and you need to understand the tools at your disposal. Now, the second dial, decision-making. Arbitrage requires very quick, decisive action, right? So when you see an opportunity, and this is why you kind of have practice arbitrage, and then you have pull the trigger, there's the opportunity. When you see an opportunity and your information and your research and understanding of market dynamics and who you're competing against, once you understand those things, you need to make a decision pretty rapidly. But again, if you don't understand the tools you're using, like Web3 wallets and crypto exchanges and all that kind of stuff, you'll do stupid stuff and you'll send your money to hyperspace. So simply seeing an opportunity is not sufficient to take advantage of it. You need to understand your tools as good as anything else, as good as you understand the market. But assuming you do, you understand the tools, you understand the risks, you understand the market, you've done your research, you know who you're fighting against, and you see this arbitrage, this dislocation in price, you need to assess the situation pretty rapidly, make your informed presumptions pretty rapidly, and then capitalize on it before other people figure it out. Remember, you have an intellectual time advantage. That's not forever. You're not the only one that's seen this thing. Other people have seen it. They may be going through that same cascade of thinking in their mind, waiting to pull the trigger on that as well. Okay, third dial, risk management. Not all arbitrage opportunities are created equal, right? You need to understand and manage each with their own associated risks, like market volatility, transaction costs, like we were talking about staking, which isn't really staking, it's just getting paid for marketing, whatever. But staking in the unbonded vaults, there's transactional costs associated with that. You got to make sure that those don't eat up any benefit you get being in a 10% yield pool, okay, or vault, whatever you want to call it. So understanding those transactional costs, market volatility, and the tools that you need, that is crucial. And that's part of your risk management. Fourth dial, adaptability and learning. You guys know this. Markets are dynamic. They move fast. So what works today or yesterday might not work tomorrow. Why do you think so many of these trading gurus disappear? Because they have something that works like a flash in the pan for a few weeks or a few months. They spend 2 years selling it to a bunch of rubes. It doesn't work anymore. People find out and then they go away. And these guys have to go sell their stupid shit to other people that don't know that it doesn't work. It is what it is. So continuously learning and being able to adapt. Don't put up barriers, just adapt to new information. Just assume everything's changing a little bit all the time. And that's pretty key for being adaptable and being able to learn and get out of your own way. That's pretty important. And then and finally would be the ethical consideration, that last dial that we like pretend doesn't exist, or we like break the dial off. But while arbitrage is legal, and you're going to see it all over the place, there may be some cases where it's not ethical to pursue it. Don't go negotiate special needs kids out of their Air Jordans that they got from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Like, don't be a dick, right? Like, you can do whatever you want, but don't take advantage of people because you can. If you're going to take advantage of people, take advantage of the people that take advantage of people. Go after them. But none of this is really the kind of arbitrage that I think you'll start seeing in life are time arbitrages, price dislocations, things where you can get two of these things instead of one of these things. There's all sorts of kind of really cool arbitrage that you can take advantage of, but you got to open your eyes, right? And so you got to open your eyes. You got to be able to do your research analysis, decision-making, act accordingly rapid based on your risk tolerance, risk management, understanding your tools, understanding the risk and transaction costs, be adaptable because markets they adapt and change all the time, and have some ethical consideration, some kind of moral compass. Don't be, a piece of shit. And there's plenty of examples of, this thing cost $8, but I got it for $2. There's different currency markets, traders buying cheaper and whatever. But in everyday life, we're buying stuff all the time. A few minutes of banging around Amazon, eBay, and Temu, you're going to find yourself with all sorts of cool opportunities that on the micro. So just mastering arbitrage is more than just making a quick profit, right? It's a mindset of having a keen eye for opportunity, making smart decisions, understanding the complexities of different markets, and all of the tools you have at your disposal. So it's not just trading stocks or a deal on a new cell phone. The principles of arbitrage can guide you to make smarter, more repetitive, informed decisions. And remember, we talked about decision theory. Last week, we talked about decision theory, I think. And so it requires a little bit of patience, a little bit of practice, continuous learning, but you're doing that anyway. But this is a tool, a non-financial tool that can be financially very, very valuable. So there we go. I hope we covered it. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. Don't do anything my poor insolvent drunk, struggling on meth grandmother wouldn't do. By the way, all these people that were short Bitcoin, there's people at 73 and I think 70, 72 and 74, 73, 74. If Bitcoin takes a run, so many people are going to get their faces melted. It's going to look like that scene in the Indiana Jones movie where the Nazis opened up the Ark of the Covenant and just like, bleh. Just saying. And on that note, I bid you a fond adieu. We'll see you tomorrow, where we will go behind the wall and we will talk numbers. Remember, sell mojito. Mojito, not financial advice.